Dear students, today we shall discuss the third unit of Strategic Management 22 MBA 25. The third unit is Internal Assessment, that is Internal Environmental Assessment. So, in this unit we will be discussing about nature of internal audit, key internal forces, the process of performing internal audit, that is using resource based view, integrating strategy and culture, SWOT analysis, value chain analysis, benchmarking, internal factor evaluation matrix. Now let us discuss how to evaluate a company's internal resource for its competitive position. So in the previous classes we discussed about external analysis, so which includes analysis of the outside competition or knowing about its status or its position in the among the competitors or in the outside market. So here once the company know about the outside competition, now it is its responsibility to know about the internal position, that is about its status position in the among the competitors. So with respect to the internal resources or internal performance. So for this, again, before it start analyzing itself about its performance, the company has to answer to some questions, like different questions mentioned on the screen, so that it will be easy for the company to assess about its status, or these questions will give a direction to the company to proceed. So that is how to go ahead with the evaluation process. The first is how well is company's present strategy working, that is the whatever the strategy the company is following, so to the company has to know how well it is performing, and what are the company's resource strengths, weakness, and its external opportunities and threats, and are the company's prices and costs are competitive, then is the company competitively stronger or weaker than the key rivals, and what strategic issues merit burner managerial attention. To answer these questions, again, now let us start with the first question, that is how well is the company's present strategy working. Here it must begin by understanding what the strategy is. So to understand what the strategy is, so again it has to analyze what are the different competitive approaches the company is following. Generally the different types of competitive approaches are low cost leadership, differentiation, best cost provider strategy, and focus on particular market, that is niche market. So these are the different types of competitive strategies available, or generally any company will be following. So company need to assess which particular strategy among these it is following right now, so that it will help the company to know or to think about or to take some decision. Is there any need to change the strategy or upgrade the strategy with someone, or any changes need to be done there for that. So next step is determine competitive scope. Here it has that is nothing but the broad or narrow geographic market coverage, that is in how many stages of companies that is industries production or distribution chain does the company operate, that is again how competitive it is, like with respect to its expansion or its identification, its reputation or brand image. So how in what different areas, locations the company is operating, so that it has to analyze. Then it has to examine recent strategic moves and then identify functional strategies. Coming to the next important question, that is identifying the key indicators, that is key indicators of how well the strategy is working. Now once it analyze the present strategy, then it has to think about how well the present strategy is working. So to know about that, again it has to take up certain actions, like it has to analyze the trend in sales and market share, its trend in sales and market share, then acquiring and or retaining customers, then trend in profit margins, trend in net profits, EPS and ROE, then overall financial strength and credit rating, efforts at continuous improvement activities, trend in stock price, image and reputation with customers, then leadership roles, that is technology, product quality, innovation, etc. So these are the different evaluation methods that a company need to follow to know how well the present strategy is working. Now with this, the company has a fair idea of what is the present strategy, means how is what type of strategy it is following and how it is performing. So this will answer to the first question. Coming to the second question, what are the company's strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats? So to know this, again we are very familiar with the SWOT analysis or SWOT analysis. So this is a general evaluation technique usually everyone will follow, irrespective of as an individual or an organization, being any type of a person, like maybe a student or an employee, like that, in different areas or working fields, we will be generally assessing this. So for a company strategy to be well conceived, it must be matched with its resources, strengths and weakness, and it should be aimed at capturing its best market opportunities and erecting defenses against external threats to its well-being, and then identifying resource strengths and competitive capabilities. A strength is something a firm does well or an attribute that enhances its competitiveness. So here, to assess the strength of a particular firm or a company or an individual, they can assess in the following directions or areas. They are, the first one is valuable skills, competencies or capabilities. Knowing their valuable skills, competencies and capabilities, that is knowing, assessing what they are good at. So what is the uniqueness or their strength, maybe in terms of the brand image, number of sales or number of customers, or their expansions, their assets, then their position, market share. So all these are an indication of their strength, and valuable physical assets they have, and how many valuable human assets they possess, and how many valuable organizational assets, how many valuable intangible assets, then important competitive capabilities and attribute placing a company in a position of market advantage. So what is that attribute that is helping the company in placing a market advantage and aligns or cooperative revenues with partners? So what is the type of relationship, how it is working? So all such internal areas, no, they have to analyze, so that it will indicate the strength of the company. So relevant to this, now let us discuss about a concept, that is competency or competence. So this is a term, so again, which highlights the strength of an individual or maybe a firm. So this competency or core competence or distinctive competence is something, so which is unique and important, and it is with respect to one's strength. Now let us discuss what is a competence. A competence is the product of organizational learning and experience and represents real proficiency in performing an internal activity. That is, a core competence is a well performed internal activity central, which is central to a company's competitiveness and profitability. A distinctive competence is a completely valuable activity a company performs better than its rivals. Now coming to company competencies and capabilities. This stems from skills, expertise and experience, usually representing an accumulation of learning over time and gradual build-up of real proficiency in performing an activity. This involves deliberate efforts to develop the ability to do something, often entailing. So that is selecting people with requisite knowledge and skills, and upgrading or expanding individual abilities, and molding work products of individuals into a cooperative efforts to create organizational ability. A conscious effort to create intellectual capital. So this is about competencies and capabilities. So this competencies and capabilities are the direct indicators of a strength. Now coming to core competency. So it is a valuable company resource. So that is the uniqueness of a company. A competence becomes a core competence when the well performed activity is central to a company's competitiveness and proficiency. Often, a core competence is knowledge based, residing in people, not in assets, not that is not on a balance sheet. A core competence is typically the result of cross department collaborations. That is, a core competence gives a company a potentially valuable competitive capability and represents a definite competitive assets. So this is about the strength. Now let us understand the purpose of SWOT analysis. Why an organization need to conduct a SWOT analysis? Because it is an easy to use tool for developing an overview of a company's strategic situation. That is, it forms a basis for matching your company's strategy to its situation. Then about strengths. A strength is something a company is good at doing or a characteristic that gives it an important capability. That is, the possible strengths are the good examples are the name recognition, proprietary technology, cost advantages, skilled employees, loyal customers, that is, number of loyal customers it has. So, this is about strength. Now, coming to next important component, that is a weakness. A weakness is something a company lacks or does poorly, that is in comparison to others, or a condition that places it at a disadvantage. Here we have few examples of that. That is, there could be a poor market image, obsolete facilities, internal operating problems, then poor marketing skills. So this is about SWOT analysis, that is strength and weakness. Then opportunity and threat, again we will be discussing later. Now coming to another important internal evaluation method, that is RBV, resource based view. Here, as like the SWOT analysis, the resource based view also will be conducted to know the internal competitive advantage, that is through internal resources of a firm. Evaluating the internal resources of a firm, a company can assess its strength or its position. That is, resource based view is a group of theories proposing that companies are able to establish competitive advantage through internal resources of a firm that are valuable, rare, not imitable, and organized for value capture. That is, whatever you are good at, that you call as strengths, no, that need to be assessed, so that yeah, any issues, suppose, or changes you are observing, that can be corrected there itself. In the resource based view, that is, here we have an example of Netflix. The RBV of Netflix brand is a value chain resource that supports long term competitive advantage. So this is the value chain activity of the Netflix, or this could also be an example of RBV. Now coming to the next important internal analytical tool, that is value chain analysis. So in this diagram, we have different activities as primary activities and supporting activities leading to the margin or sales. So here, if we take the example of a production activity, a production activity is a process where production of some good happens. That is, it's a technique or process of converting a raw material into a finished product. So that raw material has to be procured, then it has to be converted using some technique, method or process, then the output has to be again transported to a targeted place or targeted customer, then has to be evaluated for its service or sales or profit or the margins whatever has been kept at that time. So in performing this, again the company need the support, or production unit need the support of other allied activities, like the firm's infrastructure, how good the infrastructure is, and human resource management, that is good number of intellectual skilled able employees or workers, then technological development upgraded one, then procurement activities, timely procurement activities. So all these combined together, the company will be evaluating itself in all these activities. So that kind of analysis we call as value chain analysis. So this helps in identifying a firm's core competencies and distinguish those activities that drive competitive advantage. The cost structure of an organization can be subdivided into separate processes or functions, assuming that the cost drivers for each of these activities behave differently. That is, again, this was given by Porter. Porter's strength was to condense this activity based cost analysis into a generic template consisting of 5 primary activities and 4 support activities. This is about value chain analysis. So value chain analysis can be defined as it consists of major activities that are that have been added to the product during its creation, development or sale. That is, again, as we discussed now, here we have primary activities. They are outbound logistics, marketing, sales, then service activities, then support activities are the firm's infrastructure, human resource management, technology development and procurement. So this will help to increase the competitiveness and to reduce the company's cost and to improve the market share. So that's the reason company will conduct a value chain analysis. Now again the company need to assess its competitive intelligence. So what is a competitive intelligence? So competitive intelligence is the information about opportunities and threats. So this is a part in SWOT analysis. So there we discussed about strength and weakness. Now coming to the opportunity and threat. So this we considered as competitive intelligence. So how well the company will analyze and adapt these two will benefit the company. That is information about opportunity and threats, which makes companies and local industries more competitive. That is forecasting of changes about economic environment. So whatever the opportunity the company feels, so that has to be immediately absorbed, grabbed, so that it can overcome the competitive advantage, or it can be a first mover in different aspects. So here we have a difference between market intelligence and competitive intelligence. Market intelligence is which tells a company about its environment, that is supply and demand for its products, then drivers that influence demand, who the buyers and suppliers are, overall economic outlook for the product, and whereas competitive intelligence helps the company understand what is its competitive position, which is within a specific market. Then already we had discussed the value chain analysis. Now we have come to the last part of the internal assessment, that is benchmarking. Benchmarking is the process of continually searching for the best methods, that is practices and processes, and either adapting or adapting their good features and implementing them to become the best of the best. That is, use benchmarking both for comparison of performance as well as to understand the potential for improvement. How is benchmarking used? That is, compare performance of an existing process against other companies' best in class practices and determine how those companies achieve their performance levels and improve the internal performance levels. Here we have different types of benchmarking. They are competitive benchmarking, functional, internal, product, with respect to all product, process, best practices, strategies you are using, then different functional areas, the competitiveness you possess. So where we will be fixing the standard, or against the standard your internal performance will be evaluated. So here we have benchmarking methodology, how to conduct the benchmarking process, that is evaluate against the standard. So this is about the internal analysis. So here we discussed about the SWOT analysis, then value chain analysis, resource based view technique, then benchmarking.